but they've poured more into me, Rain, than I've ever given them. And, the gratitude that I have for their investment in me is unmeasurable. And, it's been a really, really great way to serve. And it's a special organization, SOCOM, and the subordinate units underneath them.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Obviously, that led to current role at the CIA. I mean, I imagine coming from special operations in the joint world, that's obviously a great resume piece. Is that your billet? I mean, obviously, there's military and civilian mixed throughout CIA, but I imagine you got plucked based upon your background, obviously, blending these worlds together, because I imagine that's highly needed and highly sought after in your current role.
Yeah, I have no idea how I got picked. You got to go ask the vice chairman and the Joint Chiefs on that one. But boy, am I grateful that I did. While I can't, working at CIA is a little bit like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club, but the one thing I can say is, there are, just like in our service and within the Joint Force, there are world-class professionals over there every single day getting after it in ways that we can't even imagine. And the honor and privilege of serving with each of them is very near and dear to me. And I woke up every day in this job thinking about how I was going to earn the privilege that day to be serving over there. And I still feel that way after 3 years in the job. And, they are the power of the United States. If you can get the Department of Defense and the CIA aligned, along with the rest of the intelligence community, to go do the things that we need them to do, is unlimited. It's an extremely special place. And, I hope everybody, if you're thinking about getting out of the military or whatever, you go to CIA.gov and check out the ways to keep serving.
Love it. A little 90 left here. So obviously your dad was a fighter pilot.
Yep.
And he served a whole career. Did you guys ever get a chance to fly together?
Did Sluff tell you about this? Or did I tell you about this?
I think it'd be a good story.
It's a great story, and it's a terrible story all at the same time. And I think there's probably a song written about it. My buddies Trip and Snooze. Yeah. So after I went to Syracuse, I flew A models in RTU, the small tail Block 10 A model, and then went to get checked out in the C model and came back to Syracuse. And my dad was still in the service at the time. He was the wing commander at Ramstein. And by some miracle, we both end up flying big mouth Block 30s. And so my leadership at Syracuse realized this and were kind enough to invite my dad. We were actually getting jets from Ramstein. They were converting to Block 40s. And so they were getting rid of their big mouth 30s. And many of them were coming to Syracuse. And my dad came to Syracuse, and we got to fly on one of my very first MQT rides. And so it was a four ship led by a guy named Tom Tuna Owens, and my dad was number 2, and another guy was number 3, and I was number 4. And it was a beautiful, beautiful day. And I'm going to start breaking out in hives here in a second. And so we get briefed up, and we step out the door. My mom's there. I mean, we crank up, and our call sign is, I think, Cobra or something. And we check in, and, my old man is fired up. It's awesome. We're going to do a low-level ingress, this long low-level across the Adirondacks to a first-run attack against a dam that's highly defended. And so, we got 2 bag jets, Block 30s. We're not dropping anything real, but it's before targeting pods. So it's going to be a a 4-ship attack to a reattack is required. We launch and we're up there cruising out to the star point, man. And, flight lead, tapes on, hot mic, standby GX, in place 180 right, 1's good, 2's good, 3, etc. And does the second G-turn rein, and I look out the window, dude, on the G-awareness exercise, and I don't see anybody. I have lost sight on the G-awareness turn of the 3 other airplanes, including my dad. And so the world slows down, and I am thinking about, do I admit this? Do I not? I hold off. I hold off for a while. I'm thinking about, do I crash the airplane? Do I eject? And at the time we had air-to-air TACANs. We didn't have data links, so I'm feeling good because it still says 2, 3, and then it starts to just like that. It just starts to exponentially increase distance, and so finally I gotta freaking admit that force blind. And Tuna starts trying to talk me onto the flight. I'm frantic at this point. I'm like ACM slewable. I'm turning around the star point. I'm in burner. I'm trying to just, dear God, please let me find these guys. And I finally switch back into range well search. The frickin' air-to-air TACANs double digits. I won't say how far. And I get a radar lock, and they're 25 miles away from me at 480 ground, going away from me. And so I have only one thing that I can do. I light the burner. I pull CATA for the first time in my entire life. And for those that don't know what CATA is, it's this little symbol that will take you on the perfect intercept course. I don't even think about the fact that I'm at 500 feet doing 800 knots outside of that corridor that we're supposed to be in.
Definitely protected.
It is terrible. And I go right across the Lake Placid ski resort at about 700 knots. I don't even see it. And I get back into position at this place called the initial point. I'm so far out of position that they've done the entire F and low level, and I am like literally running across the Adirondacks. And I get back into position. Finally, we pass the IP. We do the attack. I got to go home. I'm out of gas. And they are still feeding fuel from their external fuel tanks. And I am out of gas, and we got to go home. So we go up initial, we pitch out, we land, and, taxi back in and shut down. And my mom's there. My dad walks up to me and just puts his arm around me and says, "I love you, son." And that was it. So I went blind during the GX with my dad. I tell lieutenants this all the time. This is what humility, never forgetting, humble, credible, and approachable. It started very early in my career where I was unable to, and never really would, drink my own Kool-Aid. But yeah, that's when I got to fly with my dad, and it was great, and it was awesome.